So let's talk about work. We all have a job, we do tasks, but how many of us would call what we do a profession? You might think these words are basically the same, but trust me, the difference is huge. Today, we're going to break down the entire world of work, all the way from a single mouse click to a lifelong career. Have you ever found yourself using job and position as if they're the same thing? Or maybe you've wondered what actually makes a job a profession? You are definitely not alone. By the time we're done here, you're going to have a super clear way of thinking about not just your own work, but really the whole structure of our economy. So let's start at the very beginning. All right, to really get this, we have to build our understanding from the ground up. Think of it like we're building a pyramid. We're going to start with the biggest, most basic block at the bottom and work our way all the way to the top. Okay, so at the very bottom, the foundation of everything is an activity. This is about as broad as it gets. An engineer designing a prototype, that's an activity. A student studying for a test, also an activity. Heck, even going for a run is an activity. It's just an action with some kind of purpose behind it. Now, if we go one level up from that really general activity, we get to a task. A task is a specific, measurable piece of work. So if your broad activity is, say, managing a project, then a single task might be writing the weekly status report. These are basically the individual items you'd put on your to-do list. So how does this all fit into the real world, the corporate world? Well, when you start grouping a bunch of related tasks together, you get a position. This is your specific spot in a company's hierarchy. It's your official title, like marketing manager or IT support specialist. It's not just what you do, it's the formal box you fit into on that company org chart. And that finally brings us to the word job. A job is, well, it's the whole shebang. It's the sum total of all the activities and all the tasks that are part of your position. For example, a teacher's position is teacher, but their job includes all the tasks: preparing lessons, grading papers, actually teaching the class, meeting with parents, you get it. It's the full picture of their employment. Okay, so let's do a quick recap here. As you can see, we're moving from really general to really specific. We start with a broad activity, which gets broken down into these narrow, specific tasks. You bundle those tasks together, and you get an organizational position. And the sum of all of those duties becomes your job. See? Each level just builds right on top of the last one. But wait a second. We've gone through 4 terms, but I mentioned 5 at the start, right? Activity, task, position, job, and profession. Yeah, that last one, it's playing a totally different game. You see, a profession isn't just a bigger, more complicated job. No way. It's a calling, a vocation that's defined by this deep set of principles and responsibilities that go way beyond just a contract for employment. It's on a whole other level. So what really makes something a true profession? Well, it turns out it all rests on 7 core pillars. These are the things that really separate a professional career from any other kind of work. We're going to walk through them, starting with the very foundation. So, the first 2 pillars are all about knowledge and growth. Professions are built on a huge body of specialized expertise, the kind that takes years of formal education to get. But it absolutely does not stop there. Professionals have to be committed to lifelong learning to stay current in their field. I mean, think about it. You wouldn't want a doctor who's only using what they learned in med school 20 years ago, right? Now, pillars 3 and 4 are standards and oversight, and this is a huge differentiator. Professionals are bound by a strict code of ethics. Think of a lawyer's duty to client confidentiality or a doctor's oath to do no harm. And their work is actually governed by regulatory bodies, like a state bar association or a medical board, that enforce those standards to make sure the public is protected. And all of that, the deep knowledge, the ethical code, it leads directly to pillars 5 and 6, societal impact and identity. Because of their expertise and their duties, professions hold this special, respected status in society. It's also why profession so often becomes a huge part of someone's identity. You don't just have a job as an engineer. You are an engineer. It can shape your whole way of looking at the world. But here's the thing. Professions are not set in stone. Not at all. And that brings us to the 7th and final pillar. And that last piece of the puzzle is evolution. As our society and our technology change, whole new professions just emerge. I mean, think about it. Just a couple of decades ago, jobs like cybersecurity analyst or sustainability consultant didn't even exist. And now they're absolutely vital professions. And they're developing their own specialized knowledge, their own ethical codes, and their own unique roles in society. So, okay, we've broken down all these terms. What's the big takeaway here? Why does it really matter if we separate the word job from profession? Well, it really all boils down to one powerful central idea. I think this quote really just nails it. A job can be a transaction. You trade your labor for a paycheck. But a profession? That's a covenant of trust. It's the deep faith that we as a society place in an expert to use their incredible knowledge ethically and for the good of everyone. So, that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. As automation and AI start to handle more and more of our everyday tasks, what's going to happen to this idea of a profession? What kind of new fields will pop up that demand that uniquely human mix of deep expertise, ethical judgment, and that all-important societal trust? Something to chew on. Thanks for joining us.